everybody, and welcome to the Sim Auto Racing Association Super Late Model Series, the Sim Marketing Solutions Super Series at Martinsville Speedway for the Lokotoco Designs 150. You are currently watching SARA TV. I'm your host here tonight, Derek Robinson. We got Clay Snyder producing. And tonight you're in for a hell of a treat. Super late models around Martinsville Speedway, this world famous paperclip half-mile flat short track. Tonight it's going to be just a battle of forward drive off and who has the most grip out of these turns that can make the passes and stay up front. We'll have to see how everything plays out there. If you joined us last week, you would have heard from Ty Spearman and how much he enjoyed this track, and we'll get it with him here in just a minute as he'll be leading the field to green due to the 9-car invert. But before we get into that, if you were with us last week, we were at Five Flag Speedway and for the Midwest Power Source 150, and Jimmy Mullis came away with the victory there after leading 113 laps. Joe Schaefer Jr. was second, and Tim Bills was third to round out your top three there on the podium spots. Trevor Edwards did lead the other 37 laps as he led the first 37, and he ended up having to pull off track there 18 laps down. But what that win did is draw in the point standings a little bit closer as Jimmy Mullis closed the gap on Joe Schaefer Jr., but Joe Schaefer Jr. did extend the gap from Jim Caudill Jr., and we'll get into that here in just a moment. But before we get into the points portion of it, let's go ahead and talk about tonight's race. Tonight's race is the second to last race for the Sim Auto Racing Association. And we'll go ahead and bring in Ty Spearman here. Take a moment of his time out from practice as these guys are out here warming up. We'll go ahead and speak with him. Ty, thanks for joining me up in here in the booth just momentarily as we take a little time out of your practice. Last week you were up here with me all race, and you said you're looking forward to coming to Martinsville as it's your favorite track, and you're going to be leading them to green here tonight. So what do you got for these guys, and you think you got something at least for a top three spot or potentially the win?
I don't know. I think that maybe I misspoke last week. I'm going to be honest with you. This car is so god-awful, horrible. iRacing should be ashamed of themselves. Absolutely ashamed. I mean, honestly, it's not fun. It's not fun at all. I hope that the guys tonight have a good time. You know, maybe they like it more than I do, but I hate it. It sucks ass, period. Anyway.
Well,
and I wish they would give me my money back because this is crap. But anyway, enough about that. Talking about the race. So here's the thing that I think is that, especially with me tonight, I'm not going to have the fastest car. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But I can guarantee you one thing. They will have to pass me on the outside because I think it's going to be really hard to pass tonight because there's no grip in this car coming off the corner at all. And if you get under somebody, even if someone gets under me, I think it's going to be really hard to pass because there's no grip. So, and another thing, I think a lot of people, too, are really experimenting with different gears in their race sets. Some running taller, some running shorter gears to see if they can find some traction. It's going to be real interesting. There's a lot of different strategies that are going on.
Well, we'll definitely pay attention to it, and pretty much what I gathered there, it's going to be extremely hard to pass, but you do have, you can gain a little bit of money back here tonight because I'm not sure if you've been made aware or not, but you and Ryan Matthews are battling for the Hides Pride head-to-head showdown here tonight, so whichever one of you finish ahead of each other will come away with a little coin in your pocket, so there is that. But we'll definitely keep an eye out and see what happens here. And, restarts are obviously key no matter where you go as well. And like you said, with everyone battling for traction, it's going to be interesting to see who can keep it pointed straight on this half-mile paperclip. But before we get you back out there so you can get some more practice lap sends or any thanks or shout-outs you'd like to give?
Yeah, definitely over to Bill Martin and of course, Joe Schaefer and Ty Majeski as well. I mean, We've been working with this thing so much and trying to find different things, and it's quite amazing that we can all make different setups, and at the end of the day, they all still feel the same. They all still run the same lap times. It doesn't make any sense. So those guys have been working extremely hard. I get so frustrated with it, I quit in about 20 minutes. So it is what it is.
Well, hopefully you stick around a little bit longer than 20 minutes. If you don't, feel free to come up here in the booth with me. The door is open, but hopefully you stay out there, and we'll talk to you a little bit later on tonight towards the end of the race, hopefully, when maybe you finish in the top 3. So good luck to you, bud.
Thank you very much.
All right. That was Ty Spearman. He's going to lead them to the green here tonight, and obviously you can tell how he feels about the race here, or about the race cars, should I say. I do believe there's a patch coming out within the next few weeks, 4 weeks or so. So we'll see how that ends up working out for everyone. Maybe the car will be a little bit better. It is a handful. If you've never driven these cars before, it almost acts like they have 800 horsepower on about 8.5-inch wide tire. So it's easy to light them up. So it's something we will definitely keep an eye out for. We'll go ahead and bring in one more driver here. He's also the Series League admin. We try to talk to this guy whenever we can. Matt Rolfe. Matt, thanks for taking some time out of your practice as well to come up here to join me to talk a little bit about tonight's race and tonight's sponsor. So let's go ahead and do that before we talk about your race car here tonight. Tonight we got the Lokotoco Designs 150, and if you don't mind, since we can't speak with the actual sponsor, if you can provide some insight on exactly what they do.
Yeah, so Lokotoco Designs is one of our great sponsors here at SARA. They basically do paint schemes here for some of these cars you'll see here tonight. I know there's at least 2 or 3. I believe Joe Schaefer's got one of them. And depending on who else showed up here tonight, we got a couple more. But yeah, so Cody Thompson from Lokotoco, he does paint schemes for iRacing cars, whether it's these super late models or any of the short track cars or dirt cars. He does it all. And he's even ventured into doing some real life schemes here lately too. So that's pretty cool. And we appreciate him coming on board and sponsoring not only this race, but he's been part of our Triple Crown sponsor this season as well, giving away some paint schemes. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, he does some good work. There's a lot of paint schemes that I've seen of his that I do like. So definitely go check him out. Like I said, without his support and any other sponsors and partners with the Sim Auto Racing Association, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing here. So we appreciate that. Well, let's go ahead and talk about your race here tonight. Currently, you're 7th on the practice boards. How do you feel about your race car? And you think you have anything to put it on a box, being maybe on a podium somewhere?
It's going to be a tough race here tonight. I didn't qualify as good as I could have or should have, so I'll be starting in mid-pack, which is kind of tough here. But the way this track's been the last couple seasons, or the last couple times that we've run it, it's been really hard to pass with this dynamic track model, and a lot of cars running in the bottom groove. It gets pretty heated up, and you'll see some guys actually move up into the second groove, whether it's to defend cars from passing them or even to try to set up a pass. They might move up a little bit here tonight, which makes it really hard to pass, especially with a lot of braking into the corners, and the way these cars are now, it's going to be hard to get the throttle down coming off. So it'll be kind of interesting. Hopefully these guys give each other plenty of room, because I think we'll need it. But as far as my own stuff, I think I got something all right, but it's going to be hard to drive up through the field, so we'll see.
Well, good luck to you here tonight. We appreciate what you do for everything for this league. You do a lot, obviously, and there's a lot of things that some people aren't even aware of. But so we appreciate that, and good luck to you here tonight. Before we get you back out there, get some more practice laps in. Before we wrap that up, is there any shout-outs you would like to give?
Yeah, just thanks as always to the T4X teammates. Thanks to all the league sponsors, especially tonight here for Lokotoco Designs and Sim Marketing Solutions. And I know we're in the last 2 weeks here of the season, so I got a championship battle heating up a little bit. So keep an eye out for that. I'm sure you'll be talking about it and see what happens. So hopefully we'll talk to you later.
All right, bud. Well, good luck. Hopefully talk to you soon.
Thanks.
All right. That's our league admin, Matt Rolfe, the number 5 car. So hopefully we see him work his way up towards the front. Like I said, he didn't qualify as well as he wanted to. So we'll see what he has here for a race piece. And he was speaking of the sponsors. We'll go ahead and bring those guys up here for the SARA partners. Like I said, without these guys, we definitely can't do what we're doing here and give out the awards and stuff like that we do. So what you're watching here tonight for the Sim Marketing Solutions Super Series, they're the ones who sponsors our Thursday night Super Late Model League. Then you got the Davis Chassis Works that sponsors our Contender Series on Wednesday night. And I'll speak about that here just a little bit later on as well, and how you can join that if you're interested. You got Heinz Pride Leather and Sheepskin, longtime series sponsor. And like I said, they got the head-to-head showdown here tonight between Ty Spearman and Ryan Matthews. So whoever comes out on top of that will get a little extra coin in their pocket. You got Midwest Power Source, Inc., Callaway Investments, who sponsors our Street Stock Series on Tuesday night. Race1.us, Canadian Rail Serve, the Hub used sim racing giveaways. Go check those guys out. They got some cool stuff that they're giving away there that you can bid on and potentially win. Lokotoco Designs for sponsoring tonight's race. And like I said, they got some paint schemes out there. So if we see one, I'll point one out. Dynamic Auto Sports, USO, Can-Am Racing Series, and East-West Modifieds. And Matt also talked about the point standings. So we'll go ahead and bring up the point standings here, show you how close they are here from the top three. NASCAR has their big three, and we have ours right now. Guys have been doing battle all year long, and currently Joe Schaefer Jr. is leading the way. Right behind him is Jim Caudell Jr., who lost a few points last week due to Joe finishing second and Caudell finishing fourth. But last week's winner, Jimmy Mullis, closed the gap in just by a few points, and every little bit helps as we're coming down towards the end of the season. 37 behind, and he will be starting 10th here tonight due to the last week's for David Kikorian. 8th, Trevor Edwards, and that's between first to the last cut, which is usually around 25th to 27th, depending on provisionals. Usually about a tenth and a half, 2 tenths between the whole field. 9th, big gap. But as Martin laid down in 1962, if I'm not mistaken, and you can go back to about 10th place and you're already in the 22nd bracket. So there's definitely some time that was not found in qualifying, but race is, it's a different animal. So we'll see what happens here tonight. We'll go ahead and go through our starting lineup. That's starting on P1, starting on pole is Ty the Wily Vet Spearman. Starting second is Ryan Matthews. In the second row is Trevor Edwards and Jim Caudell Jr., and that's one guy we definitely keep an eye on. Cameron Hamilton is starting 5th, Bill 6th. Joe Schaefer Jr. starting 7th, and on the outside of him is his posse teammate and Bill Martin. Justin Warner with a nice solid qualifying run in 9th. And last week's winner and last year's series champion, or last season's series champion, should I say, is Jimmy Mullis. Brian Helms starting 11th, David Kikorian on the outside of him. Michael Goddard in the 38th, starting 13th. Brendan Wilkinson starting 14th. Keith Meteros and Adam Joslin there in row 8. Donald Clark starting 17th, and Matt Rolfe starting a little bit further back, like he said, than he wanted, in 18th. A.J. Rogers in 19th. Samuel Roush in 20th. Starting 21st is Chris Canfield, Russell Brown Jr., Kyle Souza, Matthew Eddy, Scott Dunlap, Jared Wakefield, Tyler Brown, and Russell Berry. Like the field will be coming to one to go here. The restart will be on Ty Spearman. Basically, once the pace car gets all 4 tires off of the racing surface, it will be on him to start the race until the green flag is out. And then you got to go. But we got to watch for wheel spin even early on here, as it's been slick out there. Went out there and did some laps myself, and cars are a handful, especially after about 10 or 15 laps or so. We'll see what happens as Ty Spearman will lead them down here to the start of the race. Waiting. We're green. He stacked up just a little bit, which is typical here, and Spearman does spin the tires just a little bit as him and Ryan Matthews will go down into one side by side. We'll work their way out of turn 2. Everyone's still double file. Into 3 and 4. Still doubled up. Rows 1, 2, and 3. Looks like Ryan Matthews is going to take the lead. You heard Ty Spearman say if they're going to pass him, it's going to be on the outside, but I bet you he didn't think it would happen on lap 1. We'll see if he has anything for Matthews as he's all over his rear coming down the backstretch. Matthews starting to pull just a little bit of gap here. It's still early on. We'll see, like I said, the first 10, 15 laps is where I noticed guys start to have forward bite issues. Currently, Spearman's in second. Trevor Edwards is third. Caudell Jr. is fourth, and Cameron Hamilton rounds out your top 5. Everyone's starting to be single file here from about first on back to 12th or 13th. You're going to see that everyone's going to fight for the bottom, and it's just going to be bottom only. And like Spearman gets a little bit loose there again, coming out of 4. Keeps his posse machine pointing in the right direction. He's about to have a mirror full of Trevor Edwards. The Edwards taking a little bit higher entry, really squaring off the exit so you can get that nice straight drive out. And if you're able to do that, I mean, that's key here, but hopefully you're not giving up the bottom where someone will show their nose. Still early on, I don't think Caudell is going to do that as Trevor Edwards is blinking here just a little bit. Currently, Ryan Matthews is pulling away just a little bit. He's up about half a second over Ty Spearman. Everyone is still single file. And really here, where you make your passes isn't down at the into the corner. It's where you get that drive from pretty early center and then off. Then you show your nose going down the straightaway and you take the inside line, and there you go. Being that drive off is hard. We're going to see who has the best car out of the turns here to make passes currently. Everyone's just running nose to tail. As Edwards slips up just a little bit there into turn one, makes it back up from center off. Right now, Jim Caudell Jr. is in fourth place, knowing that Joe Schaefer Jr. is just a couple cars behind him. He's just taking his time and running his race. Being patient, which is key. And if you're Joe Schaefer Jr., you don't need to do anything else besides what you're doing right now. If you keep the guys that you're battling in the points just close by you, they can't catch you as far as what the gap is currently. So he just needs to keep his car clean and running towards the front like he's doing. Jimmy Mullis, who started 10th, is currently up to 8th, so he hasn't made too big of a ground here so far. And then Bill Martin, who was our fast qualifier, he started 9th. He's currently up to 7th. Ty Spearman shoots up the track there a little bit. I know for myself, of course, I was experimenting for the T4X for our team, and I was getting the car to bottom out a little bit if you drove too hard into the entry. It would bottom out and shoot you up the track. So it may have been what happened with Spearman there. If you overdrove the entry, it'll shoot up the track. It seemed like it happened more in 3 and 4s. I think it's a little bit bumpier on entry than it is in 1 and 2. As Edwards gets loose out of turn 4, he's still able to maintain third. Caudell's going to go way up in the second groove. Well, it's kind of hard to tell, but I believe these guys are already tiptoeing out of the turn. Yep, Caudell's still up in the second lane. Cameron Hamilton's going to stay down there at the bottom, maybe trying to fill the void. Spearman going low to protect. Going down to 3. And Edwards is extremely loose. Good save by him. It's going to stock him up just a little bit. Caudell's going to benefit from that. He's going to be up to P3. Now Edwards is on the outside. And here we are in lap 16, and he's already struggling for forward bite. Now Cameron Hamilton's going to fall down below. Edwards gets a little bump from Schaefer. Now Schaefer's going to try to get here and pass Trevor Edwards. And as we stated last week with us, Edwards is extremely hard to pass. But, right now he's struggling with the car as Joe Schaefer gets a little bit loose out of turn 2 there in the 6 car. And that's a Lokotoco Designs paint scheme there in the 6 car. You got Bill Martin in the 39. Just behind Schaefer, and then there's Jimmy Mullis, last week's winner, in the 40 car, just behind 39 car. As I stated, Edwards is extremely hard to pass, and Joe Schaefer Jr. knows he has to tiptoe around him here a little bit, as it is hard to pass at that. And Edwards is battling. You may see Schaefer kind of give up here a little bit. He may not push too much longer. Using up his stuff just a little bit just to get around Trevor. Good battle for 5th place currently. These guys are still side by side as they go down into one. Edwards able to maintain. There's actually some decent speed up there on the outside. He's able to pinch down Joe just a little bit. Really making think twice about really getting on the throttle, and there goes Joe, finally giving up on it, which is a smart move on his part. It's still early, lap 22 of 150. There's no need to try to use up your stuff to get around him, especially if you're not succeeding after about 4 to 6 laps. Caudell starting to put pressure on Spearman there in the 92 car. See Caudell have a little higher entry, and we got a caution. Looks like it might have been Michael Goddard. He's pointing the wrong direction. Go ahead and pull up the SARA TV instant replay, see what happened here with Goddard. Looks like he's got Donald Clark there behind him, and 79 car of oh, he gets a little bump from Donald. He spins right in front of him. Everyone missed him, so it's a good job by pretty much everyone behind him and missing him and not collecting more cars that could have been in that. And this is a good piece of driving there by the field. 79 car of Adam Jocelyn did a great job of sneaking through there. Just a little bump and run there from Donald Clark. I'm sure he didn't mean to do it. And here at the Sim Auto Racing Association, if you're new to watching our programming here tonight, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you're watching on YouTube, go over to Sim Auto Racing Association on Facebook, hit that like button, and go to racesara.com. If you want to sign up and race with these guys, you can do it on Wednesday night at the Davis Chassis Works Contender Series. Pretty much what you're watching here is the same thing that is on Wednesday night, except this is an invite only on Thursday night. So if you run well enough on Wednesday night, win some races, you run clean and everything, you'll get the invite to come up here and race with the big dogs. But those Wednesday night races are no slouches either. So be sure to go visit the Facebook page or the website, check it out, and come join us. We do have other series as well, as like stated, the Callaway Investment Sportsman Street Stock Series is on Tuesday nights. And then we have our Dirt Night, which for this season we have the Midgets and UMP mods. Starting next season, they may change, maybe with some street stocks or some 410 non-wing stuff or wing stuff. We'll have to find out. But definitely you can go run those as well. Looks like Donald Clark is going to accept claim for that caution. So basically for the Sim Auto Racing Association, if you do cause a caution, it is pretty much asked that you call your caution and you'll get an EOL. If you do not claim your caution and after the race is deemed that you did cause it, you'll get an EOL in the results. So it's always best to go ahead and claim it now, especially since it's early on and it's clear cut that it was Donald's fault. As Ron Matthews is going to lead him back to green here. Going to be on him. We're back to green, green, green. He gets a great restart. So does Caudell. Bill Martin gets loose there behind him as he spins the tires. That's what we were just talking about. And we got a caution. Tim Bills is facing the wrong way. And that all started with Bill Martin. Spun the tires there on that restart. His car is all beat to hell. So is Tim Bills. Those two fast race cars getting caught up. We'll have to pull that up. Pull that up on the SARA TV instant replay. Here we are going back to the green, and as we stated, it's hard to get these things up and going. He probably started in second, maybe third. And he probably was in. It's hard to say. He gets stacked up, and then Bills gets a little bit loose, and he gets goose from his teammate David Kikorian. Eros gets involved. Jocelyn, who missed that last one, got caught up in that one just a little bit as well. That's a tough break there. And Bill still got a fast car, so he make his way back up to the front. But track position is key here, as it's extremely hard to pass. So, yeah, I mean, it's a tough deal all around, and it's going to happen more and more as the race wears on. These tires get more and more wear on them. The track gets more and more wear on them, and these guys are going to have to really pay attention to their restarts and make sure they don't spin the tires. You may have to short shift. You may have to half throttle it, whatever it takes. Definitely don't want to do that and spin right there in front of the field. Got some guys out here in the chat on YouTube. Appreciate y'all joining us here tonight. We got Jelly Doe, Junior Jason, Jordan Churchill, and Brady NASCAR 88. Thanks for joining us here, guys. Hopefully we put on a good show for you here tonight. We have a couple of cautions, and we know the cautions breed cautions, but we've also had some good racing up to this point. And it's only going to get more and more exciting, especially on these restarts, knowing that track position is going to be key. You may see some guys muscle some guys out of the way, run some guys up the track. Find out, but that's short track racing. Now, next week, be sure to join us next week as we finish off our summer season here at the Sim Auto Racing Association at Lanier Speedway for the HeidsPride.com Championship 200. So it'll be a night race, throwback race. You'll see all these super late models with some throwback paint schemes on them, so it'll be pretty cool to see what everyone brings out in that. And Lanier always puts on a great race, and it's going to be a tight points battle at that. So be sure to come out next week for that. Like I said, go ahead and hit that subscribe and that notification button on YouTube so that way you won't miss anything. We'll do this again. Ryan Matthews is going to bring him back to green. Spearman's on the outside. Steve Spearman gets off to a better start. He doesn't. Caudill gets off to a great start. He's going to go ahead and pull up the second and clear Ty Spearman for second as they get down into 1 and 2. Spearman's still stuck on the outside. So is Joe Schaefer Jr. Spearman and Hamilton kind of banged doors there just a little bit. Spearman's way up the track, checking up that outside just a little bit. Hamilton's going to clear Spearman in the 92. Hamilton's in the 10. Edwards throws it down in front of Mullis there. It's an aggressive move to get down to the inside. He knows how important it is to get down there. Mullis gave him a break. Luckily, it was early on. He's still pushing him down the backstretch. As you got the series and title contenders there with Joe Schaefer Jr. and Jimmy Mullis going side by side here for 6th place. Going back down the back, Joe Schaefer Jr. may battle. He knows how well Edwards held on the outside. He may try the same thing if he's able to. Problem is, if he wants to fall in behind Mullis, that gap's getting closer and closer. David Krikorian's going to fill that gap, and he's not going to find a place to get down low for about another 5 or 6 cars. So he better do some work, get some elbows up, try to get around these guys. We'll go back up here to Jim Caudill as he's putting the pressure on Ryan Matthews, looking to take the lead. Currently lap 38 of 150. And if you're Joe Schaefer Jr., that's not what you want to see, is everyone that's behind you in the points in front of you. And like I said, you want to keep them close, but you don't want to be too far back either, as Caudill was only 19, 21 points back, something like that from Joe Schaefer. And now Caudill's battling for the lead here. Cameron Hamilton is pulling them in here as well, and so is Ty Spearman. So maybe these guys' cars are coming around to him, or Ryan Matthews' car is not. Maybe he's going away from him just a little bit. All I know is when you get a mirror full of Caudill, you better be watching out, because that one car is typically coming to the front this season. Yeah, the point standings, 19 points is what Joe Schaefer Jr., the gap that he had from second place to Jim Caudill, 37 from Mullis. Right now, that's smaller. That's getting really small. It's going to be tight. Still a lot of work to do for Schaefer. A long way to go as we're only coming up to a third way through this race. Track temps up nice and warm, up to 94 degrees. So that's what these guys are battling, is a slick track. Luckily, it's overcast and the sun's not beating down on it, or it'd be really bad. But you have your top 8 cars here just within a couple seconds of each other. So really close racing. If anybody messes up, it's going to, cause some havoc, as it looks like Ryan Matthews smacked the walls. You've seen some sparks fly from his car. Caudill's trying some different things here, trying to get a good drive off. Not able to do thing, but he's going up high. You'll see him cut the center here, square off the exit. He's getting a really nice drive off there. He's about the only one that's doing that I can tell so far here on the tracker, at least that's within frame. Top two are starting to pull away just a little bit from third and fourth there in Hamilton and Spearman. Caudell may just stick it on the outside and pass him anyways. As Caudell's loose out of 4. It costing him what he's looking for, but he's still making things work there on entry. And he's going to look low. He's going to cross him over. Still not enough. And it still could be a matter of gearing, too. As you heard Ty Spearman say, guys are messing around with the gears. Caudell's going to look on the outside of Ryan Matthews. Matthews led that lap. We'll see what happens. Matthews just lets him go. New leader, the number 1 car, Jim Caudell. See if he's able to pull away any from Matthews, or if Hamilton's got something from Matthews and gets around him. Like I stated, Caudell, if you watch his line, it's a very interesting line. He's up about a half lane. Now right here, he's almost all the way down to the curb. The last lap, 3 or 4, he was up about a half lane all the way around. See if he does it here once more. He's up just a little bit, and he may just miss it. Go back here to Jimmy Mullis. He's all over the rear end of Trevor Edwards for 5th place. That's 3rd in points there in the 40 car, Jimmy Mullis, and then our point leader, Joe Schaefer in the 6 car. Got a mirror full of the number 66 of David Kokorian. Mullis gets into the rear of Edwards there just a little bit, it looked like. Edwards is up on the curb, and that's the last thing you want to do in any car around Martinsville is get up on the curb, as it will upset the car a lot. There's David Kokorian moved up half a lane. He's looking on the pass on the outside, which isn't typical here at Martinsville. There you go, Schaefer. He's already going to go up there and block it. He's going to try it out. You may start seeing guys, like I said, just entry will be high in the 2nd lane. Let the car roll, let it cut in the center, and drive straight off. Which is easy to do by yourself, and once you get under a guy, it's going to be extremely difficult to pass them on that way. Obviously, unless you just clearly move them up to the 3rd lane and out of the groove. As you see Schaefer on the outside of Mullis. Mullis is looking down on the inside of Edwards. They go side by side into 3. Oh, they hit just a little bit. They go down into 1. Edwards is going to give the little bump to Mullis. Mullis gets all crossed up. Schaefer's going to get under Edwards here. Mullis is able to keep it going in a straight line after getting a little bump from Edwards. Edwards didn't like what he did to him there. Showed his displeasure with him. In the meantime, it's going to cost him another position as Schaefer gets around Edwards. Joe Schaefer Jr. is up to P6 in the 6 car. Go back here to the 5 car of Matt Rolfe. Battling for P15 here with Samuel Roush. He's going to take 15th. Got his sights set on the 03 car of Chris Canfield and Brandon Wilkinson. In the 56, just ahead of Chris. Like we got a nice, decent green flag run going here. Let's go ahead and hop on board with our point leader. Take you a few laps around this joint. Oh, no, before we do that, go up here to Ryan Matthews and Cameron Hamilton. Matthews is going to just go ahead and wave the white flag here to Hamilton and Spearman. Go ahead and let them by. As now Matthews is back to 4th. Caudell's pulled out to about a 2nd lead over Hamilton. So he's pulled out to a small little lead. We'll see if Hamilton and Spearman have anything to reel him back in or not. Meanwhile, let's try this again. Let's go back to Joe Schaefer Jr. Right on board with him for a few laps. See how he gets around this joint as he has Jimmy Mullis just in front of him. I'll shut up. You crank it up. Laps around this joint from one of the best here in the league, and if not on the service, and Joe Schaefer. He gets down into the turns extremely well. Goes down there and try to hunt for that curb, and him and Mullis are catching Ryan Matthews here little by little. You'll click off laps here around the 21-second mark is what they're at now, and just a little over a second and a half slower than what they qualified. We're on lap 61 and 115. Before you know it, we'll be 2/3 of a distance through this thing, especially if we get these long green flag runs in. Track temps up to 100 degrees, and maybe the hottest track temperature of the year so far that I've been aware of. These guys are really battling as these tires are starting to wear off more and more. There's more rubber getting laid down. That's why you see them searching around for as much grip as possible and maybe different lines. Go ahead and go back here to Adam Joslin and Justin Warner. You guys are battling side by side. It's Joslin in the 79 and Warner in the 76. Not to be confused with the, with the 96. As it looks like 98. And it's 96 here in the books. That's what he's going to be. As these guys are side by side, you see Joslin, he's got pieces of cars all on his ride. You got Matt Rolfe just behind them. He's probably wondering, who's going to figure it out. Rolfe his entry's higher probably than anyone on the racetrack. It's an interesting line, to say the least. These guys are still side by side. Joslin moves up the track just a little bit. Gives him a little elbow. No harm, no foul, as these guys are still side by side. Going into 3. You may see Rolfe try to cut under the 96 car of Justin there. He may not do anything at all. Got a great battle here. It looks like Warner's just a little bit loose in his Dodge. Joslin's had some left front damage. That's where he got caught up in that incident on the front stretch. But Joslin may come out on top as they go down in 3. Or excuse me, in 1 and 2. Warner tried to cross him over. It's not going to happen. So Joslin finally comes out on top there for P11. Now Rolfe's going to work over Warner here. Try to get him for P12. He's got him on the outside. Giving good drive off, which looks like he has. He may have him cleared, and he does, going down the backstretch. So Matt Rolfe up to P12. He's slowly but surely working his way up to the front. Or, well, excuse me, into the top 10, not necessarily the front, but he started 18th. Hang on to it. And almost gets in the back of Joslin. He's obviously getting into the corner better than Joslin. Looks like they're equal. Both of them are fighting to drive off. Matt's up in the loose stuff. I don't want to be up there as he lost time there to Joslin. Up here to Jimmy Mullis. He's all over the rear end of the 51 of Ryan Matthews. Looking to the outside. So is David Gakori on the outside of Schaefer there in the 6. Corey gets a little loose out of 4. We'll see if Mullis is able to do anything here in the 40 on the outside. We've seen Rolfe up there in no man's land up in the 3rd lane. I doubt you'll see Mullis up there. Good looking ride is jdrgraphics.com. Almost as good as these Lokotoco design cars that are out here. Yeah, Joe Schaefer Jr. is rocking one right there in the 6 car. Be sure to hit those guys up. Like I said, they're sponsoring tonight's races. We're coming up on halfway here in just a few laps. And, you know, they sponsor a lot of things here for the Sim Auto Racing Association. So we appreciate that. And go hit those guys up. They'll definitely hook you up with the sweet paint, especially if you're not capable to paint one yourself. You know, they'll get you hooked up looking good. Looks like Matthews is starting to fall back here a little bit. He's losing the handle on his ride, which, you know, it's easy to do with this, the way this build is and the way the track can definitely change. Looks like his car's just extremely loose from center off, and that's, you know, don't want to be fighting that and the way this set is, because it's already loose no matter what. So Matthews is back to P7. David Corian's up to 6th. Joe Schaefer Jr. is 5th. Mullis is 4th. Wiley Vett's 3rd. Cameron Hamilton is 2nd. And the guy who's 2nd in points, currently leading the way, Jim Caudell Jr. Got a 1.2 second gap over Hamilton. He's pulled away just a little bit. But here for 2nd, all the way back to 6th, even 7th if you want to count Ryan Matthews in there. You know, those guys, you're only talking about a 1.5 second difference, so those guys are all over each other. Like Schaefer was showing his nose there to Mullis. They got down into the turn. Mullis is still up the track just a little bit. Come down and they complete lap 76, working on 77 now, 150. Be interesting to hear from our top 3 drivers at the end of the night, see what they battled here tonight. As far as these conditions, it's warm and it's slippery out there. The Jelly Dough 40 car has the best looking car butt in the field. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but this is a PG show. As Mullis is looking on the outside of Spearman here now. He may have something for him. Looks like DK got into the wall, a shower of sparks flew up there. Spearman gets through 1 and 2 extremely well. Looks like he's struggling just a little bit in 3 and 4. You know this is a paperclip as Spearman goes down the block just a little bit. It's going to force Mullis, as he stated, he's going to force you to pass him on the outside. He gets through 1 and 2 extremely well. We'll see if he changes lineup here a little bit in 3 and 4. They are different as far as your angle of attack getting into them. Spearman go ahead and protecting his line down there at the bottom once more. Pulls away from Mullis just a little bit. It looks like he's just struggling just in 3 and 4, just a smidge. But you got these guys here. Hamilton back to DK. You know, now you're talking just a second between those 4 or 5 cars. One of them gets loose, especially if the 10 car Hamilton gets loose, it's going to check them all up. You may see a big old gong show on the front or back stretch or somewhere. They're going to wad them all up. They're all over the top of each other. It's Russell Berry and the 4 car is going to move out of the way for these guys. His lead has shrunk down just a little bit. He's up to a 2nd lead here. He's lost a couple of tenths. Oh, as Spearman gets spun around here, DK got up into the wall. I just looked at the scoreboard as that happened there, so I didn't get to see it. So we'll have to see what happens here on the SARA TV instant replay. We'll go ahead and pull up the SARA TV instant replay. See what happens. You see he's got Mullis there right behind him. They get down into the turn. And Oh, he looks like he almost got up into Hamilton. Had to check up just a little bit, and when he did, Mullis got into the rear of him, spun him around, and then Spearman beached it there on the curb. Luckily, no one else got involved in it. Like I said, DK kind of smacked the wall just a little bit trying to avoid the wreck. I don't think his car is hurt too much, just a wrinkled up right front fender. And it's a tough break there for Ty Spearman as he had a great run going. He's looking forward to racing here tonight, as he stated last week when he was in the booth with me. And he's still, I'm not too sure what he's doing currently. Look, he finally got it pointed in the right direction. He's going to continue on. Doesn't have any damage on his car. But it's going to be rough getting back up even into the top 10 as we're on lap 86 of 150. He does have a fast race car. We'll see if he ends up staying out here or not. He does have a little front end damage on the car, but I mean it's very minute. As Spearman is a lap down here currently. He may leg it out here. If not, I gave him an invitation to come up here in the booth, and he's pretty wound up here tonight, so it'd be pretty entertaining to have him back up here. I mean, I didn't know we were interviewing Tony Stewart earlier, but he was giving iRacing the business. He's not too happy with them. He's probably not too happy either with himself or maybe even Mullis for getting into him, even though it appeared accidental. I believe we should be at 2 to go here. Once the pace car gets to the start-finish line, it should come to 1 to go, barring anyone stopping on the racing surface. We'll have to pay attention to this restart. We talked about it earlier. It's going to be even more important now to not spin the tires. We'll see what Caudell's able to do. He'll have an advantage in that category knowing when to go, as we are at 1 to go. We'll see if Schaefer, if he's able to do anything. And right now, he's in the catbird seat. He's doing exactly what he needs to do. Got the guy in third in points on the outside of him. Got second in points right in front of him. So he's got everyone in his view, which is what you want to do to minimize damage. Ideally, if you're Joe Schaefer, you just want to go up there and win. We'll see what he has. Caudell's going to bring him down to green. Team square it up. Take off. We're green, green, green. He gets off to a good start. Schaefer doesn't get off to a good start as Mullis is going to be pulled down in front of him. Hamilton, everyone pushes up the center just a little bit as Schaefer shows the nose on Mullis and taps him just a little bit. Gives him a break. Obviously doesn't want to cause the caution as he would have to go to the rear and he would lose a ton of points to our leader in the point standing. So he really gave Mullis a break. I'll have to ask him about that after the race to get his 2 cents on that, or maybe we'll ask him ourselves. That was on lap 90. They will finish in the top 3. We'll talk to him here tonight as it's what he's battling for currently. He's in third place. Mullis is in second. We're about to have our top 3 guys in points. 1, 2, 3. This is the big 3 all year. As Hamilton comes off the wall and hits Schaefer just a little bit. No harm, no foul. Schaefer should have Hamilton almost cleared. He'll have him cleared going into 3 here. These guys were the big 3 before NASCAR's big 3, so they still are saying. I'll stick to that story that we didn't steal theirs, but you got the guy second place in points in first, the guy third place in points in second, the guy leading in points in third, and I dare you to try to say that 3 times fast. We'll see if Schaefer is able to get around Mullis here, maybe pad his point lead just a little bit over him. Currently, he's losing points to both of them. We're coming up on 2/3 of the race, and it seems not too long ago, as I was mentioning, that we'll be coming up on that pretty quick. And we're back down to the 22nd lap times. Lap times have picked up here just a little bit. Track has cooled off about 6 degrees, so that's going to help. But as these green flag runs go, it's going to heat back up. And we'll see if anybody has anything for Caudell. He's out to a half-second lead. Not really pulling away, and they're not gaining on him. Looks like we got a big wreck here coming out of 4. Keith Meteros has turned around. Trevor Edwards gets into him. Meteros is the one that I've seen that got turned around first. We'll go to our SARA TV instant replay. He's got Edwards there behind him. Edwards gets into the turn a lot better than Meteros does. He gets into him, turns him. Meteros checks up, and just there's calamity coming out of 4. There's nowhere that Joslin can go. It seems like he's just in everything tonight. None of it, pretty much of his doing. Scott Dunlap ran into there as everyone's checking up there, maybe by the 26 car. Dunlap into 2. Daryl Hamlin will get a penalty for Arca braking there. So it was just tough racing. Like I said, it looked like that Edwards got into the turn a little bit better, rolled it a little bit better, and he just got into the rear end of Meteros. Meteros tried to save it and overcorrected, and it's all got collected out of 4. So some hard racing there. We're going to see another restart, which should be interesting with our top 3 guys in points doing that. We'll see if Joe's able to get off to a little bit better restart than what he did last time. He tried to time Caudell's restart, and well, he sucked at that as he lost a couple of positions, but he's back up here to 3rd. Get another go at it, and we'll have just a shade under 50 laps as we're going to go back to green here for the next 2 or 3 laps. We got a couple other guys out here in the YouTube chat with probably Tyler Breeding there, and maybe Kyle Souza or his brother as well. Appreciate y'all coming out here watching tonight's race. Caudell Jr. is our leader. He's led 53 laps here tonight. And, you know, he's currently 19 points behind Joe Schaefer coming into tonight's race. Next week's the series finale at Lanier Speedway. 200 laps of super late model action there. And, you know, Caudell's doing exactly what he needs to do to close the gap. But Schaefer is doing exactly what he needs to do some damage control from Caudell closing the gap. And Mullis, unfortunately, as we spoke with him last week, he thinks that his championship hopes are over. They're far from that, but whenever you got your guys that are around you, you know, racing with you in the points, there's not a lot of points to be had to close that gap. But he's doing exactly what he needs to do as well and just running up front. This is Martinsville, and as we just seen, as we got 1 to go, you know, anything can happen. And all it takes is one slip up from Caudell, and it can take out Mullis or it can take out Schaefer. Or, you know, a mess up from Mullis can take out Schaefer and Mullis, and Caudell will just, you know, do a little cakewalk and close that gap. We'll see what happens here on this restart. It will be on Jim Caudell Jr. Keep an eye on the rest of the field. As we are green, green, green. Mullis gets off to a better start. So does Schaefer. Hamilton gets off to a great start as well. Mullis is going to go ahead and pull it down. No, he's going to keep it on the outside just a little bit. See if Schaefer gets Hamilton clear coming out of 2. He does not. He's going to want to do that as soon as possible. Crack temp's cooling back down again. That outside's becoming less relevant. That's not the right word, but we're going to go and see if he's able to hang on the outside of him there. He's doing a pretty good job. Schaefer may have him cleared. Not yet. Hamilton's getting a pretty good drive out the turn. Meanwhile, Mullis and Caudell are squeaking away just a little bit. Now he's got him cleared. He should be good to go as they get down into 1. Yep, coming out of 2. Now he's finally got P3. He can set his sights on Jimmy Wilson to 40 and Caudell in the 1. Go up here to Caudell and Mullis. Mullis ain't letting him squeak away this time. As we're on lap 105 of 150 here for the Lokotoco Designs 150 at Martinsville Speedway. Caudell pulls away a little bit. Go back to David Kokorian here. He's all over Hamilton. He actually showed his nose on Schaefer coming out of 2. He's going GFO right now. Green flag's out. Got to go. Yep, he gets around Hamilton. Hamilton's back to 5th. Matthews now, he's got his car back under him as the track temps cool down a little bit. Maybe try to get his way back up to the top 5. AJ Rogers there just sitting outside of the top 5 there in 7th, having a great run here tonight. Bill Martin's made his way up to 8th. Matt Rolfe's cracked the top 10 in 9th. Adam Joslin's going to round out your top 10. Go back up to the leaders here. We'll see if Mullis keeps pushing Caudell, if he's able to get to the rear bumper. And, you know, if you're Mullis, basically the only thing you can do here is win if you want to close that gap down any, overall. Make it as close as you can going into next week for championship week for the Sim Auto Racing Association. And right now he's in the tire tracks. We've seen this movie before. We've heard this song before. Caudell and Mullis 1-2. Seems like it's been a weekly thing over this past month and a half or so. As Mullis is going to try the outside. Going to take a page out of Caudell's book, see if he's able to get anything working here. You see him starting to dive in the corner pretty good. Back down low right there on the curb. If you can get those left sides just kissing the inside curb, that's the fastest way around this joint. It's a lot easier said than done. As Caudell was about a half tenth faster there that lap, almost a full tenth. Fastest car on the racetrack is actually David Krikorian, but Joe Schaefer is reeling these front guys in just a little bit. Krikorian's about a full tenth faster than anyone else on the racetrack, so he's definitely found something. He's getting hooked up here. And if you were with us there a couple weeks ago, he at Southern National, he was fast there late in the going on that. So we'll see. He's got a late run race car rolling on 114, almost 115 to 150. These laps are counting down, and now's the time to go. If you have anything left, now's the time to use it. Caudell's starting to pull away just a tick. I mean, he was a tenth faster than Mullis that last lap. Joe was still faster than both of them. Joe gets up here, you know, I don't know how hard he's going to push. He loves going for the win, and I mean that's the best way to kind of seal your fate is to go up there and grab a win. You also don't want to take anyone out. It'll send you to the back of the line. You'll lose a ton of points. So I mean it's a catch-22 for Joe. So if you want to win or if you just want a point race here, he may just settle in. Mullis messes up, he'll probably pounce on him and take advantage of it, but I don't know if he's going to push too hard. As he's just a tick slower than Caudell, and him and Mullis pretty much ran even. Yep, now they're all, times are starting to slow down a little bit. DK and Hamilton really one's in a 20-second bracket that last lap. Everyone else up front here is in the flats. That's not enough to get things done there if you're a DK. As Joe Schaefer Jr. is throwing it down into the entry of the turn, and it's sticking. I mean, that's where he's making up a lot of his time. Getting into the corner. getting into the center really well. Drive off is about equal as the guys in front of him, but you watch him. He'll get down into the turn really well, close that gap up right there. And he loses just a little bit right here. If he can find that balance of getting in a little bit deeper than them, but still able to roll the center and get up off the turn, that's where the moneymaker is going to be. But that's a lot easier said than done. Schaefer was faster than those front guys in front of him, but we're talking hundredths of a second, not talking a lot. That's why you see that gap just pretty much maintained. My question is if Mullis gets up here to Caudill, will bumper come and play? Will he show him the nose, or he just try to pass him on the outside like he did last time? You see him drawing closer and closer. Both guys are. Yeah, you got an 05-05 to an 02 for these front three guys. Almost missed the bottom there just a little bit, and you'll see Caudill pull away. Schaefer was just a smidge faster there. You see him pulling up. These are the top three guys in points. I can't emphasize this enough. These guys have been in the top three in points pretty much all year long. These have been the guys, best of the best. If one hasn't won, it's been the other one. And, you can't make this stuff up. It's happening in NASCAR currently, but it's even tighter here in the Sim Auto Racing Association as Mullis moves up the track just a little bit. Doesn't lose too much time. We've got 25 laps left. We'll see if Mullis is able to do anything with Caudill, or if Schaefer is able to do anything with the two in front of him. This is a great battle for the lead. This is one of your best battles on the track. There's a couple guys there towards the 15th or so. They're running side by side, but this is for the lead. This is for the championship here. You see Caudill a little loose out of 4. These guys are hustling around here as Mullis gets into the turn extremely deep, gets up to the bumper of Caudill, making him worry just a little bit, I'm sure. But if you're planning on Caudill to make a mistake, it's not going to happen. This guy's been flawless all year long, especially when the pressure's been on him. He hasn't made that one mistake that I can recall. And if you can, you're lying, because it hasn't happened. But Mullis is going to do everything he can to make it happen. Meanwhile, Dave Krikorian bringing that gap down just a little bit to these guys as they're battling it out. He's got open tracks, able to run whatever line he wants, and he is rolling them in. He was about a half-tenth faster there. But if Krikorian's able to get up here, he's not anything besides for the win. He don't care about the point battle. He's just going for the win. We'll see if he's able to come up here and mix it up. Maybe ruin these guys' point battle here a little bit. We'll see who's the aggressive one and who's the conservative one between these front three runners if DK is able to come up here and give him some grief. Now Schaefer was fastest once again between these front three, running an 11. Mullis was at a 20, and then Caudill Jr. was at a 15 with a 2. He's Schaefer up the track just a little bit, trying some things. Mullis a little bit loose, so is Schaefer. But I'm sure these guys are just on eggshells on that gap. Caudill's now starting to pull away a little bit at the bottom up. Coming down the lap down traffic. Lap down. As we have a caution. Oh, this is wonderful. They'll make this restart extremely exciting. Not too sure what happened or who spun out. Maybe we'll go to Donald Clark in the 18 car. Go back to the replay here on the SARA TV Instant Replay. Him and Matt Eddy there in the 88. Clark's in the 18. Tight out of 4, and he just gets into the left rear. Eddie gets in the left rear. Clark spins him around, and that's that. That's just hard battling there at Martinsville. If you're doing Caudill, that's not what you wanted to see. If that's Mullis or Schaefer or maybe even David Krikorian, that's exactly what you wanted to see. It gives you another shot at this guy. You're going to make sure he's on his A game and get his restart, and we've seen the restarts here so far. We've seen it with Ryan Matthews Seen it with Spearman at the very beginning. Even seen it with Caudill. These guys will be up in about the 2nd to 2.5 lane in 3 and 4 coming to take this restart. They're going to really try to drive the car straight off of the turn so they can get as much throttle into the car as possible. But that can lead to havoc, as we've seen with Bill Martin early on in the race, spinning the tires on fresh tires. These are 135 lap owed tires. So it'll be extremely interesting to see who can get the best restart and who's just going to throw it down into turn 1 for all it's worth. See if it sticks, and give Caudill all he wants here for the win. And we only had one lead change. That's when Caudill took over the top spot from Ryan Matthews. We've had 5 cautions. Ryan Matthews has your fastest lap here. He set that extremely early on in the race at a 20.09. Just to give you some reference there, as those leaders were running around, they were at 21 teens, sometimes in the 22s as well. So you're talking just a little over 1.3, 1.2 seconds slower than just the fastest lap. The pole speed was at a 19.62. Times have really fallen off here, and that's what you want to see. You want to see fall off with the tires, but you don't want to see wheel spin, and we're going to get plenty of that on this restart. We'll see if the field's able to actually keep it together, because if you're Caudill and you get off to a decent start and another caution comes out, it's not what you want ideally, since we still have a lot of laps left. But if you get a couple back-to-back, that's pretty much going to seal it up for you for the win. We'll go back here, look at David Krikorian. He's trying to pick up rubber, whatever reason. Maybe he got a hot date later on tonight. But he's up there, and wonder if he finished in the top 3, we'll have to ask him about that. Make sure our producer reminds me to say something about that if we're able to talk to him. Interesting to see what he's doing. Maybe trying to get a cooler part of the racetrack where it's not a lot of hot rubber laid down on it. So even though you got those marbles up there, trying to go up there and cool down his tires as much as possible. Well, that is one way of thinking. As we're back to green, green, green. Caudill gets off to a good start. So does Jimmy Mullis. A.J. Rogers gets the boot as he goes up to the turn. He's able to save it. Bounces off the wall. Matt Rolfe is bouncing off the wall. Hits Bill Martin. Spinning down the backstretch. There's a big wreck down the backstretch. That was Matt Rolfe just getting turned around. Looks like he got checked up, or he definitely started spinning his tires. We'll go back to the SARA TV instant replay. Just behind him, you're going to see Rogers get the boot going down into 1. Super loose. Catches it. I mean, that was a great save by A.J. Rogers. Matt Rolfe just gets loose. Green flag was out, and he just stomped it. And then he just gets hit and checked up and destroys the inside wall. Russell Berry come flying in there and stopping and missing it. Good job on him. Tough break there for Matt Rolfe as he worked his way up into the top 6 or 7 after starting P18. That car's bent all to hell, and it's pretty much going to end his night. He'll finish the race out there and towards the back. So rough break for him. Great save by A.J. Rogers. Give him a huge shout out there as he got punted down going into 1. He did bounce it off the wall, but he prevented it from a caution to come out. So kudos to that guy. But we've seen that Caudill and Mullis got off to a great start. So did Joe Schaefer Jr. This is going to be your last restart, most likely. Does Caudill have any more tricks up his sleeve for these restarts, or does Mullis and Schaefer have his number and know exactly what he's going to do here? As we've had a decent amount. We've had a few of them here late. There's only so many that you can do, or so many things that you can do legally anyways. So we'll see what happens. It'll be extremely interesting. Top 3 in points currently running 1, 2, 3 on the track. We just seen that last restart be hectic. We got 9 to go. Most likely we'll be at 7 to go when we take the green. No, we still got 2 to go there. Might be 6 to go when we take the green. And pretty much the next flag on that one will end the race. So we'll see if everyone's able to keep it pointing in the right direction, let these top 3 guys battle it out. And, you know, if these guys finish in 1, 2, 3 here, it's going to be a great way to wrap up tonight's race to lead into next week's championship week. Talk to the top 3 in points that finish 1, 2, 3 and get their thoughts on tonight's race and tomorrow night's race. But David Krikorian's trying to ruin that. He wants to get up there and finish on one of the boxes. Same way with Cameron Hamilton. As we finally come to 1 to go here. It's going to be super exciting. Don't go anywhere. The kind of restart these guys get, it'll be on Caudell once again. Everyone's going to be ready to go. Come through, roll through 3 and 4. Wallace peeks his nose out just a little bit. Caudell's off and away as we're green, green, green. Schaefer doesn't get off to a great start. David Krikorian's going to go ahead and fill that gap for 3rd. Schaefer throws it down into 1 and 2, knowing that he needs 3rd place here currently. He's going to battle for 3rd. Mullis doesn't have anything for Caudell at all. 6 to go, coming to 5 to go. Got one spinning into the pits. No caution. As Jim Caudell Jr. has been leading the way here, he's led the most laps here tonight. Schaefer finally clears David Krikorian for 3rd. I think that's where he's going to end up finishing. He's not going to have enough time to get up here with these leaders unless he turns into Superman and gets up here and makes something happen. Caudell starts to pull away just a little bit by Jimmy Mullis as we got 4 to go. Mullis gets through 1 and 2 extremely well. It's all over the rear end of Caudell, and Schaefer is closing that gap down to these front 2. Caudell gets through 3 and 4 just a little bit better than Mullis. Mullis' strong point's been 1 and 2. We'll see what he does here. As we have another caution, that will do it here for tonight's race. Jim Caudell Jr. will come away with the victory. Jimmy Mullis will be 2nd. Joe Schaefer Jr. will be 3rd. So we will be able to get to talk to the top 3 guys in points here tonight as they finish 1, 2, 3. Go back here and see what happens with the 0-3 of Chris Canfield. Samuel Roush right in front of him. Canfield gets to the rear, and looks like Warner, it's just a checkup game at that point in time. He gets all crossed up behind on his steering. Donald Clark, Spearman gets in there. Eddie gets in it as well. And then Canfield just walls again. So that happens here with the accordion effect at Martinsville with a little checkup, especially on a restart like that. Like I said, we'll get to talk with our leaders here tonight. Top 3 in points. Caudell closes the gap again. So does Mullis. They don't close it too much, being that Schaefer is going to finish behind them. But it's going to make things even more interesting going into next week at Lanier for the Hides Pride Leather and Sheepskin.com 200. Dave Krikorian is going to come away 4th. Cameron Hamilton's 5th. There's your top 5 here tonight. Bill Martin's able to make his way back up to 6th, so he had a fast piece after spinning out there early on. Coming down to the finish line, your race winner here tonight for Lokotoco Designs 150, Jim Caudell Jr. Well, it's going to go up there and give him a congratulatory, that's not even the right word either, just don't mind me. Little bump there. Caudell out of Whitesburg, Kentucky, fellow Kentucky native. Right here and burn him down a little bit, and as C&J Energy Service Ford Fusion. Let him do his victory lap. Let's go up here and do a little drift show himself. We see Caudell doing some donuts. We'll get some word with these guys here once they get out of their cars and get settled in. We'll ask them some questions and so gather their thoughts here for tonight and for tomorrow, or for not for tomorrow, but for next week. For the series finale for their summer season for the Sim Auto Racing Association, the Sim Marketing Solutions Super Series. Moles puts it up, pins it up against the wall, and doing some burnouts here down the front stretch. Crowd shocked. Yeah, they're beside themselves. One guy's even got his hand on his head. Hasn't moved. He's got frozen shoulder syndrome. So I'm getting called names up here in the booth. It isn't very nice, but I don't care. He's still burning them down. We got Joe Schaefer Jr. up there. We'll go ahead and grab him, pull him in here. Maybe. There he goes. And our third place finisher here tonight in the 6 car out of Green Bay, Wisconsin, Joe Schaefer Jr. Joe, you had an interesting race here tonight as Caudell and Mullis finished in front of you, but you did exactly what you had to do if they're going to do that, and you finished third here tonight. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your race, and then we'll talk about that last restart.
Yeah, we had a really good car tonight. Thanks to Bill for all the work he's done the past week, especially him. I'm a little upset that Jimmy got between me and Jim. I chased him down. I clearly faster. Jimmy didn't even try to make a move on Caudell. Just wanted to run between us. Didn't claim a caution early on when he ran over Spearman. So if that's the kind of games they want to play, then I'll come ready to play last week of the season.
Well, I mean, we have one more week. If you think they're playing games, I mean, obviously the admins will definitely keep an eye on it. But what can you do to control your own destiny? Going into the last race at Lanier.
Aside from being a peak driver, so I can turn anybody I want and not claim it. Try to run top 5, qualify well. Try to pass, because passing on this build is impossible. The car is there's nothing. I mean, there's no grip. You can't get around anybody unless you got to run on a restart. And it's ran through my mind to sandbag qualifying to get the invert, and that's not how racing should be. And the simulator has completely made that an even play.
Well, I mean, knowing that going into next week, because there's obviously a possible option. You're better than I am, and I'm not afraid to admit that. So, but if you're able to make that work for you, then kudos to you. Your points gap does get shrunken down just a little bit, but I think you should be okay. Do you think you'll have a good piece next week going into Lanier, and when it is a little extra long race for its 200 laps, and like I said, it's for the series finale?
Yeah, I think so. Lanier was one of those tracks we worked on when this build first came out to try to get a feel for it. So we got somewhere to start from that was pretty good. So we'll throw what we've learned in these past few weeks into it and see what we can find.
All right, well, good luck to you. We'll definitely be talking to you next week before the race, as it is the series finale, and the top 3 guys, our big 3 guys there, are super close in the points. And congratulations on your third place finish here tonight. And before we let you go, is there any thanks or shout-outs you'd like to give?
Yeah, I thank the posse, Cody at Lokotoco Designs, Charlie at the Button Box Shop, and Left-Hander Chassis.
All right, bud. Well, once again, congratulations on your third place victory, or third place finish. Excuse me. I've messed up all night, so it's okay. And I appreciate your honesty and everything, and you give great interviews, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, we'll see you.
All right, bud. Joe Schaefer Jr., a little worked up here tonight. The posse group's fired up. Don't know what they had prior to the race, but obviously it's got them going. Not sure Jimmy Mullis is not over here looks like he just showed up, so we'll go ahead and pull him in here for the second place interview. Jimmy Mullis, thanks for joining us up here in the booth. Come away second here tonight. Had a pretty good piece, it looked like, and Jim just once again edged you out here. It looks like y'all are just trading victories week after week. Was there anything that you could have done there with him there towards the end, or did you pretty much give it all you had?
I was trying. I was trying to find a way around him. It was so hard to pass tonight. I didn't want to make any contact to pass him. So, but like I said, I was doing everything I could. I tried to find something in the middle and couldn't get the drive off to really make anything happen. And he was, just too good on the bottom for me to really do anything. Before I say anything else, though, I do want to apologize to Trevor and Ty, but Trevor first, because I was looking at it and we kind of got together into one, and it shook him up, and I shot under him at a 2 I wasn't trying to move him or anything. It's just kind of the way I was getting through the center compared to him. Like I said, I wasn't trying to make contact with him. And then the incident with Ty, it seemed like he was trying to avoid hitting Cam, and we just, I got together with him. I didn't have time to check up. I tried to, but it was too late for me to really do anything. So sorry to those guys.
Well, we go into next week at Lanier Speedway for 200 laps there for the season finale, and you close the gap there just a little bit more to Joe. Now, Joe did his part and finished in third, so it's not too big of a closure that you're able to get there. But so going into next week, what are your expectations, and do you think you can come away with back-to-back championships here?
No, I thought a couple weeks ago I was pretty much out of it. I mean, Joe's just been too consistent for us to really close in on him. I mean, we've been, doing our part of winning and finishing top 3 every week, I feel like. And, I mean, like I said, he's just been doing his part and finishing solid enough to where it doesn't matter how many races we win. So, I mean, congrats to him. He earned it. I don't know if Jim's got a shot at him, but if he does, we're definitely going to try to get it.
Well, we'll keep an eye on it next week. Anything can happen, needless to say. So, there's other guys out there racing, and, things happen. So we'll definitely see how it plays out. Before we get you on your way, is there any thanks or shout-outs that you would like to give?
Yeah, of course. Got to thank JDR Graphics, Racing Virginia, you guys for the broadcast, everyone at the association for the setup. We worked pretty hard to try and find some speed this week. We honestly, coming into tonight, we were kind of worried based off of the contender race last night, and luckily I think we hit on some stuff right before the race and it worked out. Again, shout out to those guys. Thanks to y'all for the broadcast, and once again, sorry to Ty and Trevor. I wasn't trying to make any contact with those guys.
Well, I mean, it was a joy watching y'all race here tonight. I know the conditions were tough, and we'll look forward to speaking with you next week. We'll definitely speak with you prior to the race, as we'll talk to the top 3 guys in the points and get their thoughts before then. And congratulations on your second place finish here tonight, and we'll talk to you next week, bud.
Thank you, buddy.
All right. Jimmy Mullis out of Midland, North Carolina, finishing second here tonight, third in the points, closed the gap just a little bit, but this guy right here came away with the victory tonight, did what he had to do to make it as difficult as possible for Joe Schaefer to win another championship next week at Lanier. Jim, congratulations on your victory here tonight. You led 105 laps in doing so. Tell us a little bit about your race there, and we'll talk about that last restart.
Yeah, I mean, the car was pretty dang good this week. We put quite a bit of work into it. Still wasn't perfect. We battled with tight in the center all week long. Found a few things before the race tonight, but it still wasn't quite where I needed to be. Mullis, Jimmy, he was better through the center, so he was a good bit better than me. It seemed like I could even him out, early in the run, but like the farther we go on, the tighter I would get, and then the better he was. So was able to hold him off. Thankfully, he ran me clean. A lot of guys ran me clean tonight. Ryan, Ty, a couple other guys. So. Just kind of fortunate to come away with that one. Feel like we may have kind of stole one there. Wasn't quite as good as we wanted to be, but definitely a little bit of an improvement over last week and kind of back to where we need to be.
Well, we could see it on the broadcast, and I talked about it a little bit. Drive off here, especially late exit, is key in trying to make passes around this joint. Now, you got around Matthews pretty early, as you stated, and then you led the rest of the laps. But on that last restart there, what was your key to getting away to a good restart and knowing that, you had to get to be ahead of Mullis going down into 1?
Well, I missed the shift, the restart before that one. So getting through the gears was step 1, spinning the tires, then not spinning the tires, then getting through the gears. So that, and then just really trying to protect the bottom. I knew Jimmy would run me clean. I knew he was going to try and get by me. He was rolling the outside pretty good at times. So I kept looking for, and he probably would have tried to do that had we had, another lap or two. But, I was just going to make him try to do that, just trying to protect the bottom. The car had good drive off the corner most of the night. I feel like we had one of the better cars as far as that goes. We could have got it just a little bit through the center, man. It would have been perfect, but it was good enough.
Yeah, you came away with the victory here tonight. Like I said, I'm not sure what the official points gap will be, but obviously you closed it in. Joe did his part and finished in third, and of course, Mullis closed it in on Joe just a little bit. Going to next week, Lanier, do you think you got anything for another win there, or maybe even possibly the championship?
Just being 100% honest, Derek, the championship's probably pretty far-fetched. I've done a little bit of the math, and it's man, he would have to have a really bad race. So, but I kind of told you a couple weeks ago, we're just going to keep shooting for wins. That's what we've done. Lanier being similar to Oxford and Langley, I think we'll have a good base there. I feel like we got a shot to be pretty good. So, I look forward to that race. We'll see. The cards are pretty good. These guys have closed the gap quite a bit, and they've been good the last couple of weeks. So we'll know we have to be on our A game to win it.
Well, it looks like I was just sent a memo that you're still mathematically have a chance to win the title, but you need to be perfect or next week, and Joe needs to finish 6th or worse. So there's still a possibility out there. Anything can happen. So let's go out there and give them hell. And before we let you go, is there any thanks or shout outs that you'd like to give?
Yeah, I want to thank my wife. Watched the race tonight. My kids. I want to thank my mom and my sister. They were watching. My dad, my brother, my boss Chris, Cody, Jimmy, the guys at C&J for watching. I want to thank these guys that worked real hard on these setups. We kind of all three were on a little bit of something different. As far as me and Jimmy and Cam, but we kind of all put our heads together and come up with a good piece. So I appreciate those guys working hard on it, and I want to thank you guys for doing the broadcast, Matt for putting the league on. TP couldn't make it tonight, Tyler Price, but I want to thank him. He put some laps in this week, so all the people that make it possible, and hopefully we have another good run next week.
Well, we'll definitely talk to you next week prior to the races. We'll talk to the top 3 guys and get their thoughts heading into the finale next week. And so we'll definitely talk to you then. And congratulations once again tonight on winning here for the Lokotoco Designs 150. And best of luck to you next week.
All right, Derek, I sure appreciate it. We'll see you next week.
All right, not a problem. It's Jim Caudell Jr. out of Whitesburg, Kentucky, coming away with the victory here tonight in the Sim Auto Racing Association. And like I said, the points gap has been brought down here just a little bit. I want to go ahead and bring in one more guy here because it keeps bugging the hell out of me, and Bill Martin. I want to bring him in. I want to talk to him about that restart there real quick, talk about his qualifying lap here tonight if he go ahead and takes his mic off mute. Bill, what happened there on that restart? You kind of looks like maybe you spun your tires and then you kind of stepped all over yourself and looped it around, but you did come back for a 6th place finish, so you did have a strong car here tonight. But talk about that restart, and we'll talk about the rest of the night.
I spun the tires because I never practiced that. That was the first time I ever tried it. I learned my lesson. Someone ran into the back of me, I thought, because suddenly the car just whipped around. I assumed someone ran to the back of me, but I never looked. So if they didn't, that's even worse.
Well, did you start out in 2nd gear or 3rd?
I started out in 3rd, and I was pretty confident the tires wouldn't spin, but I was coming just out of the corner, and I didn't think about that. So I just was like, all right, let's do it. And then, it didn't work out.
Well, you sustained some damage, and you had a fast car clearly in qualifying, as you said on the pole here tonight, and set fast time. I mean, you went there towards the back due to the spin. You worked your way up to 6. So, do ifs and buts. If that didn't happen, do you think you had anything for the win here tonight, or definitely you had something for the top 5, anyways?
The only way so the only way someone's going to win this race is by being the front runner almost by chance. So if the pole sitter's not going to win, whoever wins is going to get there by luck, because there is no way to pass on the track at all when you get into the top 6-7 cars. You can maybe make a pass on a restart, especially if there was a couple of yellows, because then the inside would work, like Martinsville works, like iRacing doesn't work. But after the run was longer on, there's just no chance. Nobody is ever going to pass anybody. There's no point in even trying. The only way you're going to pull it off is by knocking someone out of the way. So let's say you got a couple of teammates ahead of you, you know, you're not going to want to hit them, so you're never going to try. It's just any position that you're in, if it ain't first, you're screwed. And that is a product of iRacing's poor tire model at the moment, which is causing them to be extremely overactive to temperature swings, swifts, and then the overall car just being a complete pile now. Glad I didn't take part in building this thing because it is miserable. I mean, that was just not even fun. I mean, it's nice to get through the field. I mean, I'm proud of the fact that the setup was good enough, despite the tires being a little worn out from spinning out, to be able to get back to where I was. But there's just no fun in this car anymore. I really hope they fix it in September, because if they don't, crap, guys.
Well, we'll see how all that ends up happening. Hopefully, they do get it updated there. I know the tire model is coming down the pipeline as well. But back to you there. You had a good run, even with all that being said. Next week we're at Lanier. Are you going to be joining us there at Lanier, or are you going to be off that night?
I will be there, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to still drive the 16 car, even though I already drove it a couple of times. I'm going to drive 39 car, but the Ted Musgrave paint job that I had been driving.
Okay, well, you let the cat out of the bag early. As next week we do have the throwback paint schemes as a throwback night here for the Super Late Model. So maybe you're throwing back to Ted Musgrave in the Family Channel car, if I'm not mistaken. That's what it was. But like I said, you had a good run here tonight. The Posse guys seemed like they had a pretty good setup. I know Spearman got caught up in an accident, so it seems like you're heading in the right direction and finding some speed, especially with Caudill and Mullis running up front there. So next week you're going into Lanier. Maybe you can go up there and grab you a win.
If passing's possible, yeah. I mean, I honestly think Joe probably could have won this race if passing was a possibility. I think that I could have possibly won the race too if passing was a possibility, and I didn't spin the stupid thing out like a moron. And there's a couple other guys that potentially could have won the race. I think that Krikorian would have had a really good chance of winning the race too. And but like I said, you ain't passing crap on this track the way the car is right now, so wishful thinking.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it still put on a pretty good show. We had a ton of green flag runs there, and of course we had some cautions there towards the end, but that's just guys trying to get everything they can. But next week's a different story. Like I said, we got a big championship battle going into next week, and maybe someone new will come out on top, as the big three has been winning the races here of late. And maybe we'll be talking to you once again after the night, just finishing top three, and you'll have the pleasure of coming back up here again.
Sounds exciting. And I just want to say thanks to Wheelin' and Dealin'. I've been working with them quite a bit lately, getting the setups ready. So Tim sent me something and desperately asked me to help him out. And then we started working together on something, and it's really, really turned, a new corner for both his team and my team. But yeah, I really hope that Lanier's a little more racy, because races like this really, really bum us out. But what's good about that, you're watching it, it's a good show. The drivers might be miserable, but those are usually the best races to watch, is when all the drivers are hot. Just ask anybody who's ever raced at Bristol.
That's that's where they're at next week in the real life. So, but yeah, here for us, Lanier tends to widen out pretty good. So we'll see what happens. Maybe the apron will be of some use. Probably won't, but maybe it will be. And it'll put on good racing. Y'all always do anyway. So we'll see what happens then. And thanks for coming up here and joining us. And we'll be talking to you next week, bud.
Take care, guys.
All right. Bill Martin, the 39 car, Madison, Wisconsin. He was in the Pepsi car tonight, and we've seen him step on himself there on the restarts he spoke to and worked his way back up to 6th place. He's always good at Lanier. Had some good battles with him at Lanier myself. So we'll see if he's able to do anything, if the Posse group's able to run down Mollison and Caudill camp, or maybe if the Will and Dillon guys can get into victory lane. Let's go ahead and bring up the results here for tonight. Go through this, give some shout out to some guys that had some good runs. As we've seen and spoke with, Jim Caudill, Jimmy Mullis, and Joe Schaefer Jr. is your top three guys on the podium steps. Outside of that, David Krikorian had a good run here tonight in 4th, Cameron Helmton 5th, Bill Martin, who we just spoke with, in 6th, Ryan Matthews in 7th, Tim Bills in 8th. 9th, Brandon Wilkinson, and Bill finishing in the top 10 after that great save and getting the boot there and into 1 is A.J. Rogers. 11th was Keith Meteros. We've seen him get caught up in an incident, so he made his way back up there. Samuel Roush in 12th. Brian Hellman 13th. Justin Warner in 14th. Michael Goddard in 15th. Scott Dunlap in 16th. Ty Spearman in 17th. 18th, Jared Wakefield. 19th, Matt Rolfe. 20th, Matthew Eddy. 21st, Donald Clark. 22nd, Russell Berry. 23rd, Chris Canfield. 24th, Adam Joslin. 25th, Trevor Edwards. 26th, Kyle Souza. 27th, Russell Brown Jr. Last but certainly not least, and 28th, Tyler Brown. Go ahead and bring up the standings here once more and let you all get a glimpse of how it came in here tonight. Obviously, this is going to change. Joe Schaefer Jr. is leading the way still. Caudell closed that gap. It was 19 points going in here tonight. Closed it down here just a little bit more. So did Jimmy Mullis. So those 3 guys right there, the top 3 in points, will be battling it out for the championship for the Sim Marketing Solutions Super Series Championship next week for the HeinzPride.com Championship 200 at Lanier Speedway. Go ahead and bring up the standings here, or not the standings, excuse me, bring up the sponsors here as well. Give them one more shout out. Let's wrap up tonight's festivities. Got the Sim Marketing Solutions. It sponsors tonight's series. Davis Chassis Works for Wednesday night late model series, super late model series. Heinz Pride Leather and Sheepskin. We'll go ahead and speak to that here real quick as well as Ryan Matthews walks away with a little extra coin in his pocket for winning the head-to-head showdown between himself and Ty Spearman. Midwest Power Source Inc., Callaway Investments, who sponsors our Tuesday night series. Race1.us, Canadian Rail Serve, The Hub Used Sim Racing Giveaways, Lokotoco Designs, Dynamic Auto Sports, USO, Can-Am Racing Series, and the East-West Modifieds. That's going to do it for us here tonight. Like I said, next week, Lanier National Speedway night race. It's a throwback paint scheme night race. So you'll see pretty much everyone out on the track with their best version of a throwback of their favorite paint schemes. It could be from the guys in the top series in NASCAR all the way down to their local short track. And it'll be for the HeinzPride.com Championship 200 laps of super late model action. So be sure to join us then. Like I said, go ahead and go to Facebook for Sim Auto Racing Association and hit that like page. Go to the subscribe and hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube, and hit the notification button so you don't miss next week's festivities or any other thing that we may end up throwing out there. We do have a all-star race coming up after the Lanier race next week, so that'll be fun to look at. And thanks for coming out here for us tonight. Jim Caudell Jr. came away with the victory here for Lokotoco Designs 150 at Martinsville Speedway. We'll see if he's able to close the gap and win the championship for the first time in his career. Jimmy Mullis, see if he can close the gap, come away to be back-to-back champion for 2 times in his career, or will Joe Schaefer Jr. walk away for his 4th championship? There's only one way to find out. Come join us next week. Until then, I'm Derek Robinson, producers Clay Snyder. Y'all have a great night.